So some of you may have heard about like the elephants in Thailand, and that they're often just tied up to small fences or like little trees. And elephants are such powerful creatures, so why can't they just easily like use their power to just like break free of those ropes? But it's actually because when they were young, then and they were tied up to like the small trees as well, they didn't have that strength, so they weren't able to break free of the ropes. And that kind of thinking, like that mindset that they could never break free of the ropes, continued on as they grew up, and even as they're like really like older now and really powerful, they still don't believe that they can break free because they have self-doubt in their minds. So today let's talk about how to eliminate self-doubt forever and about the power of the unconscious mind. So firstly, the human brain. So like, why can't like everyone be like super like successful? But it's not because that there's like a lack of resources or opportunities, because now with like the internet and everything, there are more resources and opportunities than ever. So like there's many people with loads of like resources that only end up getting like average or mediocre results and never end up being super successful. However, there are others who have no resources or opportunities at all, and against all odds, they managed to create like success, and they became really like successful. So, for example, like Helen Keller, who couldn't like see or hear, and he still managed to learn how to like speak and everything. And also like Einstein, and who like he like dropped out of school at 15, and he's like and then he also like failed to get into one of the schools, but he's now like seen as one of the like smartest people like in the world. And Colonel Sanders, who at the age of 65 after retiring managed to start KFC. So the fact that there's like a lack of resources or opportunities is not an excuse to why like we're not successful. But so the human nervous system is actually like hardwired for comfort, whereas like our soul is hardwired for growth. So in our minds there is this dynamic tension of how good our comfort zone feels, and also like us wanting to like live up to our potential outside of that comfort zone. This can like lead to lots of frustration, where most people like surrender to like mediocrity. So how do we like fix this? So what separates humans from the rest of the animal kingdom and like is the front part of our brain, which is called the neocortex or frontal lobe. It operates at a wavelength of alpha and beta, but it doesn't get turned on until we are 7 years old. So as children, we mostly rely on wavelengths of delta and theta, which means that they are very impressionable. This can lead to procrastination and self-sabotage later on. So for example, like there was this story about this boy called like Little Johnny, and so like his dad had to take him to the supermarket because like his mom was busy, and his dad, he had a really rough day at work. He just had an argument with his wife, so he was feeling very like frustrated, and he was really tired because after he got home he had lots of stuff to do as well. So when they were at the supermarket, Little Johnny obviously goes to see the toys, and because supermarkets usually put their targets to like the eye level of the children, the toys. And then he asked his dad if he could have like a toy, and his dad just said no really quickly because he had other stuff on his mind and he was rushing to get back. But then Little Johnny was like really persistent, and he kept asking if he could have the toy. And eventually his dad just kind of snapped, and he thought that if he just, and he said, oh no, it's because you're not good enough, you haven't been on the best behavior, so you don't deserve this toy. He said that not because he was trying to be mean or anything, but just because he thought that would make Little Johnny be quiet, so that he could really quickly get back home from. But that actually had a really a much bigger impact on little Johnny, because he doesn't see the frustration that his dad is dealing with, or all of the world, because his neocortex hasn't actually fully developed yet, so he's not thinking about critically in any way. He only hears the part where his dad said that he wasn't good or not worth anything. So then little Johnny, when he grows up, he will spend the rest of his life unconsciously acting that out and justifying his belief in himself of not being good enough is right. So whenever success comes his way, he will often self-sabotage and mess up the opportunity for himself because he believes he doesn't deserve it deeply. So this leads to a really important point of people never rise above their opinion of themselves. So secondly is the challenge. So since, as I mentioned before, our opinion of ourselves is largely formed in childhood when we are younger than 7 years old. So and it's formed from the perception of whether or not we get the love from the people we want the most. And since we are creatures of habit, and our neocortex is the decision-making part and the critical thinking part of our brain, then over the years our brain evolved, because even though our brain is only 150th of our body weight, it takes up 20% of all of the calories we get. So then after it's evolved, it has lots of shortcuts, which is how we develop habits. It's for example, if you wanted to start a new habit of running every morning, then you'd have to and then one day you sleep in late and don't go out to run, then over time your brain will just go, okay, this is what I normally do, so I'm just gonna normally sleep late and miss breakfast and not run anymore. And it's also if you go to a restaurant and you either have the option to order fries or salad, maybe the very first time you order fries, then over the next times it becomes a habit, and your brain thinks, oh, I shouldn't waste my energy thinking about this decision, so I'll just order the exact same thing every single time. This means that the brain hands the decision to the midbrain rather than the critical thinking part of the brain, so it just becomes an unconscious habit and activity. So it's how we walk. It's a good thing, because if we did not have this, then every single time we'd have to learn to walk again from scratch. But since we have this habit, we can just walk whenever we want. But it can also lead to bad things, for example bad habits, just playing computer games, getting addicted to that, or just smoking. So overall, in our daily lives, we only use our conscious brain a small amount because it takes up so much energy. And 95% of the time we just use our midbrain, and something that's called sleeping awake, because we're awake but we're not consciously making any decisions. So it's for example, picture an ant, and ants are really hard-working creatures. So they say the ant sets a goal and it decides to go north, then that the ant is the frontal lobe is the neocortex, but the ant is marching forwards north, but it's marching on the back of an elephant which is going south. So obviously the ant can't keep up for very long, and obviously overall you're going to go south. And the elephant is the midbrain, and it's where all of the habits and the limiting beliefs are happening. So then the ant can't really keep up with it. And our mind is also a compass, so the needle can only point in one direction at a time. And when we're using the 5% of the neocortex, and when we're the ant, we can grab the compass and move the needle wherever we want and take control. But however, 95% of the time we're not doing that, because once we consciously let our hand off of the needle, then it's always going to drift to the default magnetic pole, just like how a compass always goes to the magnetic north. So one really important point is that environment will always trump will or intention. So because humans are when they were born, we're all programmable, but we can't choose how we're programmed. We will always adapt to our surroundings. So for example, if you really like jazz music, but your friends or like country music, and then eventually over time, no matter how much you try to fight it, like eventually you will also begin to like the country music too, because you've been exposed to it so much. And also like there's like, if you read positive affirmations and listen to like podcasts every single day, but you're surrounded by friends who drag you down and say that you're not good enough, eventually, no matter how many positive affirmations you read, you're going to believe that you're not good enough in the end, and they're always going to drag you down. So it's kind of similar to like how like I had a flute exam, and my teacher would always like, she would say that I wasn't ready or good enough to pass to do the exam yet. But like, well, I didn't have the exam yet. She said I wasn't good enough to like pass the exam, so I shouldn't like sign up for it. But then like my mom always gave like positive words and said that I was like really good, and she like inspired me to carry on practicing. And eventually like she booked the exam, and I managed to pass with a merit. So how to change your like mindset basically. So there's like 3 tips altogether. So first is to stop putting the wrong things in, because humans are all like adaptation machines, and we will adapt to our environment like physically and also mentally. Because for example, if we go to the gym versus going to McDonald's, obviously what we do are going to be different, and we adapt to where we are. So it's also the same with our mind. So the things that like are worse for our minds, like that impact our mind the most, are firstly mainstream media. This is because like the news and everything going around in the world, it's mostly negative, because it's made to stimulate a part of our brain that puts the negative above the positive, and it just to hook you and to like get you like synced in, and it just like is trying to trap you basically. So like many people like watch the news because they're like, oh, they want to know what's going on around the world, and like if they don't watch the news, how would they know what's going on? But they don't actually need to. You need to like choose what to focus on and where to put all of your energy. You can't start like worrying about the world if you haven't really sorted yourself out first. So also, and like the things happening around the world, it's basically the same things that happened like 15 years ago as well. So there's no point to like pay that much attention. Also the people we hang out with also like shapes a really big part of how we think of ourselves. Maybe and there's like a saying, it's like love your family but choose your friends, because whether your family, like you can't really change your family. So like if you say, oh, but my cousin is really negative, then I don't think there's much you can do about it. But you can choose your friends and who you hang out with on like a daily basis. So secondly is to start putting the right things in. It's kind of like remagnetizing your compass, and like fill your brain with information that can support your potential, maybe like podcasts or like books that you're like interested in that can help you grow as a person. So like for example, like I used to be like really addicted to like YouTube shorts and like watch it a lot, and then like I realized that it wasn't actually helping me that much, and it was actually just dragging me down, because I didn't get anything useful from it, and it was just all just like mindless, just scrolling basically. And then I decided to like set a limit to how much I could watch every day, and to like read more books and everything. And the third tip is to get things that shouldn't be in your mind out. So for example, you can like get a mentor to rip like the unconscious patterns of like maybe like self-doubt or self-sabotage out of your mind that can help you like overcome it. So in conclusion, I think the main points to like take away from today are that firstly, that just people never rise above their opinion of themselves. So you should like think of yourself as like worth more and like higher, and eventually you'll be able to like, yeah, it's like act like it. And secondly is that the environment will trump will and intention. So remember to like always surround yourself with positive people who will push you up instead of dragging you down, because you improve too. And just, yeah, thirdly, just the 3 tips of stop putting the wrong things in, start putting the right things in. Start putting the right things in and getting the things that shouldn't be in there out by like either like hiring like a mentor to help you as well, and to like stop like try and stop the bad habits and control what you're putting into your mind. So think it's easy to just like laugh at the elephants for being so like silly, and even though they can like easily break free of the rope, they stay there. And but like many people, they're also like in a like they're in no better position than the elephants. And like hopefully this video helped you to like break free of the like rope in your mind and to live life to the fullest. Thank you for listening. Bye.